Well, welcome everybody to an evening of Q&A with Sheila Granger. And I'm the host, Marc Carlin, the New York City hypnotist. And Sheila, you're still on, right? You called in on the correct line. I didn't mute you.
I'm still on.
Oh, fantastic. I was holding my breath. It always gets me a little rattled when I start.
Yeah. No, I can hear absolutely fine. It's all very clear.
Terrific. So we're going to have an evening of Q&A, which is questions and answers. People have sent in questions to ask about the virtual gastric band program, basically your program that you developed. And there are some questions. We'll get to it in a little bit, but there are some questions about comparisons with other virtual gastric band programs, and I'm not really all that up on the other programs, and I know that you've investigated some of them, but really I think what we're going to focus on more is about what our program is, what it encompasses, and how how we conduct the programs and what people are able to take from it and what they're able to do with it, with the lessons that they learn. Let me just do a brief introduction of Sheila, because I every time I've been working with Sheila now for about a year and a half. It's been an amazing year and a half, and I didn't know much about Sheila when I first started, and every time we talk and every time I work with her, I get to know more about her. And I was just sitting here
all the bad
thinking,
bits as well.
she, in the States, we have the city and we have the country. And in my mind, as an American, I look over at England and I really think that the whole country of England is like a city. And I haven't traveled around England much at all. In fact, I've only been in London, but England is countryside as well, right?
Oh yes, we do have countryside. We have green grass and
yeah,
yeah.
And you're a country girl, aren't you?
Almost. Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
I am really.
You grew up in the countryside.
Yeah, I grew up on a farm.
On a farm, exactly. You're like Ellie Mae from the Beverly Hillbillies. No, you're a country girl.
Yeah, I am.
So,
I'm not a city girl.
No, and when I hear Sheila talk, because I speak in that New York accent, I think of another city person. I think I can't differentiate the accents in England. But, they all seem to be city. To me, that in my mind, I'm connecting it all with city talk. But yeah, I was very surprised to find out that you're a country girl.
I'm a country girl.
And
yeah.
A country girl makes good. That's a good headline.
That could be the next PR then. Country girl makes good.
Makes good by doing good. So we have a bunch of people on the line. Some very interested in finding out more information about the virtual gastric band and what it is. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time because I have my lungs are a little filled. I had a literal fight with dust. I was cleaning out my sock drawer before Christmas, and I fought with dust, and dust won. So I'm still getting rid of the effects of being inundated with dust, and so I might have to take a break and put it on mute while I clear my lungs a little bit.
Have a good.
We have a bunch of questions, but before we get into the questions, I wanted to get some information from you about just your take. What would be your intro to the people who are on the line looking for more information about virtual gastric band?
Well, the virtual gastric band, or certainly the program that I've been developing, it has 2.5 years history behind it now. And it simply started with me reading an article about some people in Spain called the Charans, and they came up with the concept of a gastric mind band. It was in one of the British newspapers. All it said was that it got somebody to imagine an operation and it had helped them to lose weight. I was extremely cynical about it when I first read it, but at that time, 80% of people who came to me came for weight control, and the system that I used at the time was a little bit hit and miss. So I pondered this article for a while and thought, I'm going to put this concept to a bit of a trial. I got 25 volunteers, nobody paying any money. Saw everybody in a group situation, and asked one of my local newspapers to come along and independently verify the results of that trial. So in a way, I suppose I put my business on the line, because the newspaper were going to report the results of the findings of that trial, regardless of whether it had been successful or not. So with bated breath, I waited to see if anybody had lost any weight, and prayed between sessions that somebody would have lost some weight. But the results were it was 95% successful, and the results really blew me away. I was astounded by the results of it. So over the last couple of years, developed the system further. Now trained around 500 practitioners in the States, in Canada, in Australia, and obviously in the UK. And it appears to be very successful for people, for both therapists, because it's easy process to put a client through, and successful and easy on the client as well. Average weight loss is around about 14 pounds, about a stone in a month, and it's helping somebody to adopt a new set of habits that they can realistically live with, by getting somebody to be happy on much smaller amounts of food. The gastric band concept, I suppose, what that does is get somebody to focus much more on what their tummy's telling them than their head of their eyes. But I'm somebody who likes to sort of push the boundaries a little bit, really. And I want to see this system being made available for more people, regardless of whether somebody can afford to pay a therapist or not, regardless of the means. And also to put hypnotherapy much more into people's minds that it is a potential viable alternative in some cases. I don't go head-to-head with the surgeons, because there's work that we can do as therapists that can be comparable to surgery, but if somebody has an operation and has a physical barrier put in there, we can't really compete with that. But what we can do is bring about changes without the need for surgery, in some cases. So I had a lot of knockbacks along the way and a lot of doors closed in my face, but I'm very pleased to say that the clinical trials in the UK have been approved. There's been a little bit of a delay on it because it was knocked back by the ethical committees a couple of times. But those trials are now due to start in February. So for anybody who's listening who's already gone through my training, I've made promises that we're going to collect data and that those trials are going to be expanded. And the only reason you haven't heard from me on that is because there's been a slight delay at my end for the approval of the trials. I'm also going to be running a pilot scheme in my area where I'm having 60 patients sent to me by a group of doctors. And again, quality of life outcomes are going to be measured, because the way I see it is that's what this is all about. It's about improving somebody's quality of life. So it's not really about the figure on the scales or just about weight loss. It's about the fact that people who come off diabetes medication, that blood pressure reduces, that their beliefs and attitudes change. So it encompasses such a wide area of things. So when I sit down with the doctors and work out parameters and how things can be measured, I can then let the people know that I've already gone through the training, because we have to have a method of collecting data that's relatively easy on everybody, but it will stand up to the medical profession as well.
And that's in addition to. I mean, a lot of people have asked about what type of trials, because the first thing that excuse me, the first thing that came to my attention about your program when I first got interested, when you first contacted me, was the fact that you actually put it to the test. And the test was an anecdotal test. You had a group of people.
I'd like you to ask yourself 2 questions. The first question I'd like you to answer for me is, on levels of 0 to 10, how excited are you about now going and taking all this stuff and doing it, taking it into your own practice? And the second question is, has this course met your expectations?
Absolutely. On a scale of 1 to 10, it was a 10. It was an excellent course. It was well presented. The time frame for the subjects were right on the money. And I can't wait to get out and do it.
Yeah, I agree. It's a 10, complete package. And you know, we just leased a storefront, so it's all your fault. And thanks for a great presentation, both of you.
And number 10 on scale. What I love about the course is that it's very inspiring, that it is not just offering the material, but expanding the mind, showing the possibilities. So it is not, I'll be like fertile with all the ideas, which I don't know yet, but they'll be, like you said, putting the seeds.
Yeah.
There are plenty of seeds, which I'll be aware of only in time. Thank you so much.
Well, I would give it a 10, but I'm Korean, so that translates to 100. And I think the most enjoyable part was meeting you. It was a great pleasure. Thank you.
I'm very glad I came. I got a lot out of it. My weight loss part of my business was my weakest link, I guess, and I now feel very confident that adding this is going to really bolster that. My expectations are very high because of all of the information you've presented. And I've just thoroughly enjoyed you presenting.
Thank you.
Look forward to meeting you again soon.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mark.
Boy, this so exceeded my expectations. I think my fear level has been so high that, and being such a newbie, that I thought this would be so far beyond my expectations that it would be unreachable. The way you present and how you make the material very reachable is just phenomenal. So as a presenter, you're just wonderful, and that you've done a wonderful job with this and putting the materials together. I'd recommend the course to anybody, but it's really inspired me to look at this as part of my profession.
I'm very, very excited to add this new service for my clients. And I did let people know that I was coming down just a week before I came, and already I'm getting people inquiring about it and referrals for other types of services too. So it's been a great benefit already, and I know that many more great things to come. The information that I learned in the course was just absolutely terrific, and I would highly recommend it, beyond my expectations.
It's beyond my expectations too. It was great. I love the program. People knew I was coming for it. They were excited. They have no idea what they're in store for. And it's very simple. It's very obtainable. And your marketing, I think, is excellent and sort of takes the fear out of that. I would highly recommend the program to anybody, and I almost want to go to Canada. Well, I do want to go to Canada next week.